This is going to be Demon Slayer episode 11, 12, 13, and 14. So I'm going to be reviewing 4 episodes. I'll try to keep it short, but knowing me, I'll probably run on a bit and be quite long, but I'll see how it goes. So this whole mini arc with the house it was pretty good actually. The whole thing kind of shows us these new characters that are going to be joining Tanjiro. And I know they're going to be joining because I see them in the opening and ending. So obviously, it's already been shown and spoiled for me that these guys will be joining us. So we first get introduced to Zenitsu. He seems to be a very cowardly kind of guy, and you can see him trying to ask this girl to marry him. And then, even though she already engaged or something, and it's just kind of funny, and he's really whiny, and something about him I like, I can relate to his cowardness in a sense, it's hard to be brave and courageous, and it's easy to cower away, that kind of mentality. And he's just crying, and he's kind of he just kind of jokes, to be honest. He's like, oh, I don't have that long to live, I'm in the demon. But yeah, what's really weird though, even though he's one of the select few who passed this final examination, he just talks like he's a complete weakling and he's never killed a demon before. And that was pretty crazy. So we see Zenetsu and uh, what's his name, Tanjiro. Yeah, they've both been selected for the same mission, so they both like decide to join each other and just tag along. And you see Tanjiro sharing his food with Zenetsu. The rice ball, that was pretty sincere and cool. So yeah, and then we get to the house, right? And this house is infested with the demon, and we see this kid outside, and his brother went inside. So it's up to Tanjiro and Zenetsu to go in there and find their missing friend, brother, those kids. There's meant to be 3 of them, and there's only 2 of them at the moment. So they go in the house like with both of them, and we know there's a demon inside there, and we hear this drum being played, and every time the drum gets played, everything switches, like the whole like house switches. So that's kind of cool, interesting dynamic. And obviously, what happens is the drum plays and ends up with Zenetsu being left by himself. And you at this point you can see that he's cowering, like, "Oh, help me, Tanjiro! And I'm gonna rely on you a lot." And then Tanjiro's like, "Oh, I've broken my bones," and he's like, "What? A broken Tanjiro is not gonna help me at all." So yeah, that was pretty funny. But then they separated, so Tanjiro and Zenetsu both get to show a bit of their own individual skill. And I guess this was purposely done so we get to see what Zenitsu is actually capable of. So it turns out there are actually multiple demons in this house, and there was 3 demons in fact, and they were arguing who gets to eat this child. And this child apparently has rare blood and is referred to as Marechi. So having rare blood in this show must suck a lot if you're just getting targeted by demons every day. So with that, yeah, those 3 demons roaming around, it's going to be quite interesting to see who gets eaten and who fights who. So, and then we also get introduced to this other character, right? And he seems to be a demon slayer as well. He's wearing a boar mask, but he seems quite wild. And there's 3, so it's like each one gets their own demon. Then the most interesting thing was Zenetsu's demon. So like when Zenetsu was getting targeted by a demon, you just see him run away, and then it comes to the point where he's cornered and he just passes out. And I thought, like, what's going on? And then this is where like the oh kind of moment came in. So as soon as Zenetsu passes out, the demon approaches the Zenetsu, but this is where he shouldn't have. So like it turns out when Zenetsu goes to sleep, his alter ego kind of comes out, where his alter ego literally just one shots his demon, and he has that cool stance, and then he unsheaths his sword, and we get to see a massive quick slash, and he's dead. That was pretty badass from Zenetsu. But then he kind of wakes up like, where'd the demon go? He's just so unaware that he's that strong. And then at that point we understand why and how he passed the final selection, because Zenetsu is definitely strong, but it's literally what's holding him back is his mind state. He definitely has the skills, as he's been showing through his sleep talk walking thing. But that was pretty cool to see. It definitely just demonstrates what Zenetsu is capable of, and his lightning attribute. That was pretty cool as well. And then we see the boar guy, right? He also has a fight with a demon, but he kills that thing with ease. You know, it wasn't even a challenge for him; just slices him apart. And with that, two demons down, Tanjiro versus the demon with the drum demon, who's called Inos. No, it's not. It's not Inosuke. It's called Kyogai. You know, he's the drum demon. And then we get this interesting backstory about him. So he used to be one of the 12, like, you know, so this is ex 12 member. And on his eye, he said he was in his flashback. We see Muzan giving him blood, but then we see him like stripping him of his rank. And this guy is of the lower 12. So I'm guessing in the 12, there's a division between the higher 12 and the lower 12. So he's not as strong as he's not he's more on the lower half of the 12, but he's still part of the 12. And he has the number 6 in his eyes, I think. Actually, I'm not sure about that. It's been a while. It was a few days since I watched that episode. But nevertheless, he's got a number on his eye and he's got an X on it. You know, so he got demoted pretty much from Muzan. And that's why he's out here trying to eat this Morechi kid to try to get stronger. Because the way demons get stronger is the more blood they eat. And that's just literally it. You know, it's all about farming experience pretty much if you're a demon. And with that, it's just up to Tanjiro to fight this demon. But this demon has some interesting skills, right? So I mean ability. So every he has like 5 drums on his body. So every time he taps one of the drums on his body, a different thing happens. And you can see when he taps the one on his belly, a claw attack, you know, like an invisible claw attack. And the one on his right shoulder rotates the room to the right, you know, and the left, up and down. So this, I won't lie, this whole fight felt like a boss battle kind of situation. So if you ever played a game like this, you know, like the boss usually has a set pattern, and once you figure it out, it becomes a lot easier. And you know, it seems like in this situation, the boss has a set pattern, and you just have to follow the pattern to win. And with this patterns, you know, every time you tap something, you should be aware of what he's tapping and counteract it. And for this, you know, like it was quite satisfying to see this fight because we understand how his ability works and stuff. And but despite Tanjiro understanding quite quickly how his ability works, he still struggles a lot against his demon, especially when a demon starts going double time speed and Tanjiro is barely able to keep up. And this is where Tanjiro's amazing mindset comes in again. And so we got the monologue where he's fighting and he's like, yo, my bones are broken, like can I even beat this demon? And he's like, oh Tanjiro, get up, you can do this. Like he's you know he's self-motivating, which I really admire his mindset for that. He self-motivates himself to do better, and he's always going like, oh, I'm the oldest child, I bear the most responsibility and stuff like that. I can relate a bit because I'm the oldest child as well, but I don't think I can relate as much as him, you know, with that burden kind of stuff. But that was pretty amazing to see his mindset. You know, he's got to focus and win. And you know he again he goes back to his teachings, like he implements what he's learned correctly, which I really enjoy. So he goes to think about his water style and how he can beat anything with his 9 forms, right? And we never got an explanation of what the 9 forms are. He just does a different form and we just see him move, but we never got the explanation of the different 9 forms, which I think would be quite beneficial if we knew as well. But maybe they have it in the manga, but they don't have it in the anime for sure. So with that, Tanjiro has to devise a plan to use his different forms to beat this demon. And so I forgot how the fight goes, but I thought the fight was pretty epic. And with the final, oh, and there's this one scene in the fight. How can I almost forget? Which I thought was pretty cool. So we get this flashback during the fight, you know, typical shonen thing. But this time I didn't mind the flashback in the fight. We get a flashback of the demon Kogai's previous life, you know, when he was actually a human. And it turns out he was some kind of writer, and his sensei did not approve of his writing, and he's like, "Your writing's trash," and he throws in the floor. And the flashback ends with him like crying, and yeah, his master pretty much stepping on his work, and this is where he kills his master pretty much. So that was pretty crazy. But then there's this one moment in the fight where you can see all the note, you can see all the papers on the floor, right? And despite Tanjiro being attacked, the way he dodges all of the attacks, he makes sure he doesn't step on any of the pages. And then this is, you know, that was pretty crazy because then, we don't really find out straight away. But after the fight, no, because during the fight we get a little close up of Kogai's face after that. So a reaction was spurred there, but we don't really get an explanation to the reaction until after Tanjiro beats the demon. So we see the opening thread, classic thing that pretty much confirms that Tanjiro's gonna go and kill them. And with that, after Tanjiro beats him, we get a farewell, and this was quite a touching farewell in a sense. Like this always happens, and I'm really enjoying when it happens because gives you the feels. Even though this guy is a killer and he's a demon, there's a side of sympathy towards him. And in this one, he asked Tanjiro why he didn't step on his paper, and Tanjiro, he says something along like, "Oh, your blood art was amazing," and he gives him compliment. And the way the demon, like, he's still disintegrating, but he cries because his work has finally been acknowledged by Tanjiro. And I thought that was a really touching moment because he turns out he's a musician, and as a musician, one of the things he wanted to be was acknowledged, which he wasn't by his master, but he was acknowledged by Tanjiro when he praises his demon art and the fact that he didn't step on any of his notes. And I thought that moment was amazing when and the demon cries and he disintegrates, and that was pretty crazy. But yeah, I've got to respect Tanjiro. He's still mourning these demons after he kills them. It's that sympathy because he's just too kind-hearted of a person. So with the demons dead, Tanjiro goes outside, but then this is where another little scrap develops. So inside the box, right, is um is obviously where Nezuko is, and the boar demon slayer. He notices there's a demon in it, and we see Zenitsu just getting beaten to a pulp, trying to protect the box, and then Tanjiro's there. And once Tanjiro comes outside, he just sees like Zenitsu beaten to a pulp. I'm just repeating myself, but and then the boar pulls out his sword and it's like, "Yo, if you're not gonna move, then I'm gonna stab both of you." And then we can just see Tanjiro's physical anger, right? This is one scene where he's just stood there and you can see his emotions rile up, and he just goes in and he punches the boar dude, and you can see his ribs crack. And that was pretty satisfying to watch that happen because this boar dude's been a bit of a douche, and him and Tanjiro kind of have a little scrap, and they kind of go hand to hand in a sense because demon slayers aren't meant to fight each other, with swords, so they just go hand to hand, and then like you can tell that Tanjiro doesn't really want to fight this guy, but he gets so pissed off and he just ends up headbutting him, and then for a minute they're all right, and his boar mask comes off, right, and it turns out his face is really cute, like in the sense of a girl, and really feminine, and they both start laughing and he passes out. That was pretty funny. He starts foaming. Turns out he got a concussion, and it turns out Tanjiro has a really tough head because he's got like no blood on his head, whereas the other dude has is bleeding from the head and everything. So with that they well, so while the boar slayer obviously was sleeping, what happens is which was pretty Tanjiro like, is he gets everyone's body and buries them, to show respect. And with that, after they wake up, they don't really fight anymore. They just, a lot of teasing goes around, and we learn that he's called Inu Nusuke, right? And yeah, he was one of the five who completed the final examination. But I remember there was only four who actually turned up, and it turns out he finished really quickly and he left. So that's why they never saw him. And this is the first time they saw him. So with that, the mission is complete, and they go to this pretty much this hospital run by people who've been saved by demon slayers. And during this time, we learn a bit more about Inosuke's past, right? He's basically this mountain dude who's really strong, and he just took this demon slayer's sword, and he went to the final examination, and all he cares about is strength. He's pretty typical shonen character, but he's got this unique trait where his face is like he's got a trap face, pretty much. That's probably why he wears a boar mask, because of his face. So that was a pretty unique, interesting spin on his character. But yeah, and then we just see this little montage of them hanging out, and you can just see that he's just trying to irritate everybody, like especially Tanjiro when he's eating Tanjiro's food. But then Tanjiro's just too nice. He's like, "Oh, if you want my food, then you can have it." That was pretty funny, and you can just see that Inosuke is trying to annoy Tanjiro, and then but Tanjiro does not have it. He's just too kind, or he's just too accepting, and you just see Zenitsu getting angry. And there's another one where there's three beds, and then Inosuke just chooses one bed, like this is my bed, and then Tanjiro's like, oh, you can have that if you want. It doesn't matter. So well, while everyone is sleeping, and Tanjiro says sorry to Inosuke for hitting him that hard. But then Zenitsu's like, "Where's my apology?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going to give you an apology." So he's kind of a hard-headed kind of guy. So I want to see how these three's chemistry is going to work out. And then the final episode kind of ends with Nezuko coming out the box, and this is where Zenitsu, obviously being a bit of a Casanova himself, he sees Nezuko, and he kind of gets angry at Tanjiro. It's like, so I risked my life for you, and no wonder why you've been so happy. You've been traveling around with this beautiful girl. And obviously, at this point, he doesn't know that Nezuko is Tanjiro's sister, and you just see him get so angry, like, "Why do you have a girl and I don't?" And then it's kind of comedic in a sense. It's not serious kind of anger, and with that, the chapter kind of ends. I keep saying chapter. The episode kind of ends. I'm looking forward to what the next chapter holds in store. Now I've caught up now, so yeah. I'm really enjoying Demon Slayer, and this arc was amazing. This mini arc, I'll call it, was amazing. So we get an introduction to more of the main cast who's going to be following Tanjiro around. So I want to see how that dynamic kind of develops, because when they first all met each other, obviously Tanjiro and Zenitsu's their connection was pretty good, whereas Tanjiro and Inosuke and Zenitsu, like when they met him, it was kind of rocky at the beginning, and still is. Like there seems to be a bit of chemistry forming between Tanjiro and Inosuke, but I can't really see much chemistry form between Zenitsu and Inosuke. Those two seem quite incompatible at this moment in time, but we'll see how that develops. So oh, I almost forgot to mention about Zenitsu. So if Tanjiro has really good smell, Zenitsu has really good hearing. And I thought that this is one monologue that I've completely forgot about and just came in my head just now. But about do you know when Zenitsu was protecting the box? He has a monologue of why he was protecting the box. Because of his incredible hearing, he knew that Zenitsu can pretty much identify what a what a living thing is just by their breathing pattern, and he knew that Tanjiro was carrying a demon, but he never questioned it because when he listens to Tanjiro's voice and his person's pretty much his essence with his hearing, he knows that Tanjiro is a very kind person, and we see that Tanjiro smile, that really cute smile, and a really nice background to match that to match the personality that Tanjiro is. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now we got sight and smell. Maybe Inosuke, maybe he's also got some super sensitive feel or something. What's left, sight and taste. I don't know about taste, but yeah, so those two. So yeah, so Zenitsu's very cool hearing and Tanjiro's very good smell, and those two are going to be pretty good at tracking things. So that was pretty cool. And then it was kind of funny how Zenitsu makes that compliment about Tanjiro, and then Tanjiro says the exact same thing, but he mentions here is his smell instead. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that was the 4 episodes review, and I'm really looking forward to what's in store for these three idiots. I'm gonna call them from now on. Peace.